Hey, psst. Come here. Check this out. This right here is really gonna do it for you. The first one's on me. That's okay. I don't think that's for me. All the cool people are doing this. Just try it. Well, I guess one can't hurt, right? Right. Yeah, just one won't hurt. Oh, hi there. My name's Jorge. I grew up in the 80s and I used to love getting into trouble. I was back then and still am a friend of felines. I take my faith very seriously. Attending university at a Christian school, I've been a music fan my entire life, only recently finding out I really like extreme metal, and I want to invite you to join me on my discovery of extreme metal. What is up, folks? Welcome back to A Christian Collects Death Metal. It's your pal Jorge here, back at you with another video. Thanks for stopping by once again. Welcome back. You know, I see these collection updates. People be doing these, right? And it looks like a lot of fun. And I think I'll try that every once in a while. I'll do one of these, though not really. You know, I'm not going to show everything, but I'll pick out a few recent pickups and maybe talk about them, just give my sort of brief thoughts. We'll talk about 3 pre-orders before getting into the physical stuff. These are all items I'm sure you're familiar with. Starting out with Mephitic Corpse. I picked mine up at Head Split. Sickness Attracts Sickness. Sort of a death grind outfit of sorts. Great material. So this is extremely rotten. This is something of their doing. However, Head Split, they're getting a few copies over here, what have you. That's where I got mine, Mephitic Corpse. The second pre-order is really special. Definitely a fan of these guys. This is the Mizmor Hell Alluvion album, collaboration, what have you. Gilead Media. So I think I picked up the blood red variant. There's a white one, also a black one. I went ahead and grabbed up the cassette too, because I'm a bit of a Hell fanboy of sorts, and I do like Mizmor too. Prosaic being my favorite from him. Anyway, they did release one track. I think that this is releasing in early March, but yeah, there are still copies of these left, so if you're into Blackened Doom, Blackened Sludge Doom, that you can't go wrong here. The third pre-order. Ooh. Is the most gnarly out of all of them, if I'm being honest. This is a death metal outfit. They are the death metal darlings of the underground. I think that's safe to say. When you hear about people talk about some death metal, you hear things like, man, this is that low down, dirty, just sort of death metal. And this band is even below that. This is just foul, authentic, god-awful death metal that it does work. We're talking about the new Pissgrave album, Malignant Worthlessness. They released that single, Heretic Blood Christened. These songs, man. Yeah. Wow, what can I say about these guys? I didn't know a whole lot about these guys. I seen their covers around, and I guess I was just sort of a bit taken back, or I just assumed that this is, let me guess, gore grind, right? No, just death metal. I guess there are some grindy elements, like the sort of the thin drum sound in a lot of it, but it really works with this type of just chaotic sound. Yeah, my buddy Nick, he gave me the rundown on the band, and yeah, I do like I like it quite a bit. It's an interesting sound. The vocals, you know, super unique. Tim, wow, what a guitar player. Yeah, so this is a good transition into the physical part of it, which is the Pissgrave Demo. I picked this up Recently, yeah, super recently. That's why it's in this video, this collection update. Recent pickups, right? I cannot show you the cover. You already know what it is, probably. This is not self-deletion euphoria. I could get a strike against my channel for showing this. You guys already know it probably anyway. This is the demo. This features a gentleman who has seen better days. He's been in better conditions. I've heard this was this is an Asian gentleman who somebody said it was a Yakuza offing of sorts. I don't know. I think it's probably just a self-deletion thing, a police photo of that. These guys choose to use real photos, real authentic photos, and I think it fits with their sort of theme, their what they're going for, this misanthropic content, stuff that they have on offer. The sound is just absolutely barbaric. This is uncouth, devoid of all decency, just foul death metal, dirty. What did Fantano say? I liked what he said when he talked about their debut, the Euphoria one. He said that it's like you feel like there's just you're being spritzed with like a brown mist when you hear this material. And yeah, this is really dirty. So profound lore, right? This was mastered for vinyl by Art Risk. This guy gets around, right? He does the stuff for Blood Incantation. Spectral Voice, Black Curse, right? Pissgrave. I think this came out in 2020. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. This features a few songs from both their debut and their sophomore. Songs like Rusted Wind, Blood Fog, Prevail in Hell, Fields of Scattered Bones. You know, this sound is so chaotic, and they rely so heavily on tremolo-picked riffs. This is just riff-heavy, just riffalicious. I can't even explain. I'm preaching to the choir. I say this all the time. Y'all already know it. Pissgrave Demo. This next band is out of Sentient Ruin. We're talking about Horse Butcher. I got this before Christmas last year. I'm really impressed by this. I originally was sort of turned off by the cover because I thought, must be some gore grind. And yeah, I could do some grindy type stuff, especially more death grind, like maybe Lividity or, Hemorrhage or something like that. And I guess there is a grind element to these guys, but this is more blackened. I hate saying blackened death metal. It's just a mix between black metal and also death metal, which I guess would be blackened death metal. Anyway, it's their debut. It's a full album. I think there are 7 songs total, and yeah, a lot of misanthropic type material being put forth here. There's a really cool sound. Once I actually heard the record, I picked it up. They only released the cassette. I saw on Sentient Ruin's Instagram, somebody was like, well, what about the vinyl? They're like, well, this is a newer band. Usually with a newer band's debut, we tend to do just a cassette release to see how things go over. And then maybe we'll go back and repress it. Or with their sophomore, we'll do a vinyl, give them the vinyl treatment, what have you. I think it's totally worth it. I think these are already sold out. The last time I checked, there were 3 or 4 of these left. So it's the new Horse Butcher album from Sentient Ruin. And coming up next, we have Sapthuran with Hydrasel something. Basically, it's a word that means blood dripping from the sword. How do you say that, anyway? Hydrasel. It's Sapthuran. This is black metal. This is a Bestial Grape sort of reissue. I picked it up through NWN. I love those guys over there. And, these guys, they sort of curate this black metal, this, you know, they want to make sure a lot of these older black metal releases, not just black metal, death metal, extreme music, you know, doesn't get lost in the shuffle, and so they're going back. This was only ever printed on cassette in 2012, and so I guess they got the rights to go ahead and reissue it. Yeah, so this is a one-person project. Patrick Hall, he does this. So this is basically 2 songs. Side 1 is Separation. Side 2, Steadfast Resilience. And when you look at the insert, it basically looks like a small write-up on the album. And it's sort of, you know, it's black metal to be sure, and it's somewhat of a clean sound, but there are folk elements to it. Could you guess, with all the forestry and what have you, swords, a bit of fantasy, what have you. This is the write-up. So it's a really cool piece, actually. It talks about a guy going through the woods. He's on some sort of spiritual journey. He goes on a deer hunt. He ends up finding a sword. And then he and his people find him, and they end up fighting off some people who's like attacking their village. So sort of like Burzum-esque, what have you. These are actually the lyrics. When I was listening to the album, I was like, yeah, wait, I already read this. These are actually the lyrics. So this is a really interesting release, and it sounds super good. The variant itself, it only comes on one. They just did like a all white variant, which I always love these. I think these always look so cool. There you see it right there. So, Sapthuran, Bestial Grape, I'm sorry, YouTube, right? Bestial Grape Records, yeah, Blood Dripping from the Sword, NWN. I think they still have a few of these too. We saved the big mama for last. You know, this was an anticipated release. So many people were just chomping at the bit over this one. It's the new Phrenelith, the Ashen Womb. Wow. I picked mine up from, I want to say Dark Descent, but I think it might have been the Bandcamp, honestly. I don't even remember. I know I picked up the pre-order when it was announced. So, anyway, yeah, what can I say about Phrenelith? I can say a few things, actually. You know, for a death metal outfit, this album feels like it gets as absolutely close to Death Doom as absolutely possible without being Death Doom. There is such a doomy element, and I think a lot of it has to do with the subject matter, this apocalyptic sort of, you know, inscape. Well, you know, they had that first album, right, which is very similar, and then they sort of went a little left with Chimerian, you know, and sort of the fantastical creatures, subject matter of the sophomore album, and then it's like they're sort of circling back around with their third offering, Ashen Womb, and they're getting back to this whole, you know, end of days, apocalyptic, what have you, sort of subject matter. Super doomy. It's incredibly doomy. I know this is straight ahead death metal, but like I said, they're like, at this point, teeter-tottering on that line of going from death metal to death doom. I mean, especially on some of the later tracks. It sort of invokes this feeling of dread. A lot of tremolo pick stuff going on here. This is a lot of fun. I know this is going to be, at least for me, and I know probably a lot of others too, definitely one of the albums of the year, without question. So, alright guys, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that. There are just a few recent things I picked up. Obviously, I didn't show everything, but I thought, well, here's some of the more interesting ones. And I think from time to time, yeah, we'll do something like this. Jorge, a Christian who collects death metal, signing off. Be blessed.